obviously with the health and safety protocol berserk that went on a handful of weeks ago, still going on at some sort of degree, but still lots of injuries, lots of things still going on in the NBA, not really the best. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to talk about the bright side of this season for every single NBA team. Now, a lot of teams are going to be sort of jumbled up into the same sort of category, so I might just say the same things about certain NBA teams. So sorry about that. I'll try to make it as different for every team as I can. But yeah, I thought that would be kind of a fun thing to do. I haven't really sat down and talked basketball with you guys in quite some time, so I think that could be kind of cool. So make sure you do like the video. If you do like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're like 200, 150 subs away from the 9,000 goal, which is crazy. 1K away from 10,000. That's really exciting. Also, if you want, you can comment down below, maybe for your own favorite team, what's the bright side in your eyes? It could be a player where there are the future, the championship pedigree that they have, this or that, whatever you think is the bright side for them. Let me know down in the comments. So yeah, that is everything. So let us get started. We're gonna be talking about the upside, the bright side, the nice thing about every single NBA team, spreading some positivity. So obviously talking about all 30 NBA teams can't, take too long doing that. So some teams are just going to be kind of the same sort of jumble, sort of group together, which is okay. A lot of teams are sort of in the same spot right now, but again, some teams have young players, more specifically, or they're on the championship grind right now, or it's really early in the season still, things like that. So I'm going to be sort of just grouping teams together, if that makes any sense. Alrighty, so first team, alphabetical order, of course, we have the Atlanta Hawks, and the bright side for the Atlanta Hawks, again, at least in my opinion, these aren't like from an article or anything. I would have to say it's still early. That's like that would be the slogan I'd make for the Atlanta Hawks. It's still early. Yes, the conference finals last year, absolutely amazing, super dope that happened. You guys have played on fire the half of the season that matters, which is the playoff season. And going into this year, I knew they were gonna have a lot of expectation, but I was saying at the beginning of the year, don't go too crazy with this team. They're still super young, and they still have a lot more to grow, and that was a great learning experience. I think they're definitely ahead of their pace, but it's still early in Trae Young's year, the relationship with John Collins, the organization of the Atlanta Hawks, but man, it's still super early. I would say 1,000% they're obviously ahead of schedule. They were in the conference finals last year. I just don't think they're going to improve and be in the finals this year. I mean, sure it could happen. I'll knock on wood, not trying to jinx them, but it's still super early in this run that the Atlanta Hawks are putting on. I still think they're a piece or two away. They still need to add more depth, and I think, Trae Young does need to, develop a little bit more, become a little bit more savvy, and just grow by playing more NBA games, and it's coming. So obviously them being 12th in the Eastern Conference is kind of rough, but it's still super early in this run that the Atlanta Hawks are going on. That's kind of a bright side. It's only going to get better. Okay, next up we're on to the Brooklyn Nets, and bright side for Brooklyn. I mean, obviously the first thing, it's not the playoffs. It's not, March or April, whenever the playoffs start. It's still early, very, 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 well, not very early, but still early enough in the season where your team can still play together as much as they need in order to get that chemistry, in order to have success in the playoffs and have this finals run we're all expecting and waiting for. Right now they are second in the Eastern Conference, even though, again, a lot of guys going up and down, obviously without playing with their other star in Kyrie, which is also the other bright side. Y'all still have Kyrie Irving. It's not like Kyrie, is ineligible to play the entire year, or, you have to trade Kyrie Irving. You guys still have Kyrie Irving. He's there. You just need to make something happen, and obviously it seems like it is going to happen, so that's great. So the bright side is it's still early. Y'all still have the time to create this team chemistry, to play the way you want to play. It's only going to get better. I think obviously adding in Kyrie, whatever, if that's full-time, part-time, whatever it is, that's an improvement. And also making moves. I think players are going to want to play there, and I think maybe they can sign another guy off the bench for them, which is definitely what they need, is a little bit more depth. That's definitely a big bright it's still early, even though they've been on this sort of, they were supposed to be the next team up, the next NBA dynasty, kind of fell short. They do have one of the best players up and coming with Jason Tatum, kind of like with the Atlanta Hawks with Trae Young. It's just still too early. They need to add depth. They're about another star away, or not star, maybe a piece away, kind of like what Atlanta is. It's just too soon to tell what needs to happen. Is it a trade of Jaylen Brown? I don't know. Is it just adding more depth? I don't know. Is it just getting lucky, or not even getting lucky? Is it just playing at a level like the Atlanta Hawks were like last year? Also, maybe, it's a lot of things that need to play and happen. So, with the Boston Celtics, still a generally young team, and I think they're just, a piece away, whatever they can do, whatever the free agency market can give them next season. I think it's super exciting. I think they will make the playoffs this year as long as everyone stays intact and everyone stays healthy and stuff like that. So, they're still in a good spot. They just need to, think what they want to do. Do they want to win now, or build more to this crazy team that already has one of the best players in the NBA, even going forward, Jason Tatum, and also an all-star teammate, Jaylen Brown. Next up, we have the Charlotte Hornets, and man, they definitely have a lot of things going for them. Obviously, be a young team. They're 7th right now in the East. They were sort of a top-tier Eastern Conference team earlier on in the year, so I still have a lot of high hopes for them, I guess. Maybe not necessarily a specific thing. I would say maybe more of like a phrase, like ride the wave or continue on with the wave. I don't know how to really say it, but there's going to be a lot of up and downs with a team like Charlotte. Obviously, a team that definitely has the talent to be, again, a top team in the NBA. They have a lot of scoring output. They have a lot of pieces that can really make some big impacts. So, obviously, they have that capability, but they're just so young. They're so young. So, I think it will take more time for them to obviously be that crazy team that we probably saw at the start of the year consistently. So, I would say just continue to ride the wave. They're going to have a lot of good streaks and a lot of bad ones. Right now, they're 7th right now. Nothing too bad. They're 5 of 5 of their last 10. Nothing too, I would say, out of the ordinary. I do expect them to make the playoffs this year, though. Could that still happen? I think yes, but again, they're going to have some high highs and some low lows, and I think that will probably continue on for the next maybe 2 or 3 years until they, again, develop a little bit more. LaMelo Ball develops, maybe adding a new center, or even at least a piece alongside their rebuild. Next up, we have the Chicago Bulls, and for the Chicago Bulls, again, kind of like a phrasing, maybe, enjoy this time. That'd be my bright side for them. Enjoy the next 2 to 3 years of this team, because man, they at least in my opinion, they're legit. I wouldn't say they're a favorite to win the title, but given the opportunity and the matchups and whatever happens, the hoopla that happens in the NBA, like injuries and stuff like that, they have a shot. And for Chicago, haven't really been in that position since when Derrick Rose was in the prime and Joakim Noah, the whole thing, and then even before then was the Michael Jordan era. They haven't been a top tier team in the East in quite some time, obviously before Derrick Rose at least. But yeah, it's exciting. I hope all the fans in Chicago are exciting. Right now, they are first in the East, 8 of 10 of their last 10 games. They have a scoring machine in Zach LaVine. They have a leader in DeMar. They do have depth when they're healthy. Obviously with Alex Caruso, Kobe White coming off the bench, and then again Vucevic down in the paint. They have a real presence in the paint, which is really nice. It looks and checks out good. It just depends on this being their first season together. Gonna have to see the kinks of it, and again, I think the next 2 or 3 years, again with the development and additions they can add to this team, man, just enjoy this next 2 or 3 years, because this team sticks together and just adds. I think it might be at least one title for this team. Or the Cleveland Cavaliers, man, what a team. They're definitely making me eat my words. 5th right now in the Eastern Conference, and I said that they would start dropping. It looks like they might start actually be evening out. They might be a playoff team this year, which I don't think I would have guessed at the start of the season. I guess, I don't know, bright side for this team is that there is a spark. That's the best way I can put it. There is something that's happening with this rebuild that's working. Whether it is, Garland being definitely a lot better player this year, or adding, obviously, Evan Mobley, a top pick in the draft, or bright side is Kristaps looking like he's starting to find himself a little bit more in his role. And oh my God, Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson is looking really good in his spot, and he might definitely be getting a bag this offseason. I'll tell you that, because I think he's only on like a minimum contract right now, which is crazy. But I think the bright side of this team is that this year is basically a throwaway for them. I mean, Luka is he's just not playing games, and it really sucks. But also it's Luka's loyalty. I mean, you don't need to rush it. Luka is still, dude's barely still in his prime. The dude is 22 years old. He signed the max contract. It's not like he's gonna be going anywhere really, unless he asks for it, which would be kind of crazy. But you got a couple years still left of this Luka mania, and obviously you need to build on that and hurry up on that. But you don't need to panic about it. So I'll say that for the Houston Rockets, kind of easy to draft. That's a bright side. You're gonna get some good draft picks, and also the assets that Houston has. Hopefully they get some things back in return. Obviously, biggest one, Eric Gordon, Christian Wood, some other players they can try to find. I think John Wall might sit for the entire year, but if you could somehow get something out of him, that'd be amazing. Jalen Green looks like a really solid piece, and he looks like he will turn out to be maybe not the guy, the cornerstone for Houston, but he's going to be one of the guys for this team. Definitely the scoring potential that this dude has is insane. The athleticism is amazing. But yeah, just adding draft picks, assets, and you have assets to get those for. Again, Christian Wood, Eric Gordon, blah blah blah. I think that's kind of exciting. I guess Houston Rockets fans could wish they could just simulate this season, get it done and over with, because I'm sure they're very excited to see what comes next, I guess. Oh, for the Indiana Pacers, bright side for them. I would say, even though they are 13th in the Western Conference, they're in a good spot because of who they have on their team. I think, well, first of all, injuries still for this team is still just sucks for this team for sure. But they have the assets to improve. Now, I'm not saying they can improve enough to make the playoffs, but definitely if they're trying to rebuild, the improvement is there. If they want, they can get a first-round pick for Miles Turner. They can definitely get one for Brogdon. They can definitely get probably two for Sabonis. They could probably get one for LeVert. They can get some nice first-round picks for these guys. And do I wish they could keep Sabonis? Yes, but apparently it was reported that he wants out. So who knows what happens with that? But man, they just don't have a guy yet to lead the team, and they're gonna probably try to find that in the draft or do like a big package to get a big guy there. Like again, if it is Ben Simmons, Bradley Beal, or something like that. Next up, we have the Los Angeles Clippers, and man, a bright side for them. I mean, it's kind of the biggest obvious one, maybe the entire NBA. No Kawhi Leonard. Basically, that's the bright side, is that there is no Kawhi Leonard, and this team is still 6th in the Western Conference, which, again, a team that is making me eat my words. I thought this was going to be a team that at least is, fighting for a playing spot, but they look like they're okay. Even without Paul George playing for a lot of games, their last 10, they're 4-6, which is definitely not the best. But even again, without having Kawhi the entire year, basically, we'll see what happens during the playoff time of the year if he will make his return. But also with Paul George not playing a lot of games, still 6th in the West. That's very impressive. So they, at least in my opinion, they probably should have just tanked the season, kind of did what like the Warriors did 2 years ago, and just tanked for a good draft pick. If they do have their own draft pick, it's probably what they should have done, and they didn't. And they're trying to make a good spot. And again, if Kawhi wants to come back in March or April, make a push for the playoffs, that'd be kind of cool. But even if they didn't, this is great. It's gonna look really good on the court next season for this team, especially without obviously having Kawhi Leonard back. So that's a bright side for them, I guess. For the Lakers, again, kind of like probably the exact same thing with the Brooklyn Nets. The bright side is that it's not the playoffs right around the corner. You still have 4 or 5 months till the playoffs even start. So definitely have a lot of time to just see what happens. And could they go crazy and just start trading players left and right? I guess yeah, they could, and they probably will shop ideas for Russell Westbrook and Taylor Horton Tucker and stuff like that, which is a good thing. They definitely should. But as long as LeBron and Anthony Davis are 100% healthy, legit. They are good, and they done an amazing job with their rebuild. Maybe a downside would be, Jaren Jackson Jr. We still need to see if he's really that Robin to Jaws Batman. Still good enough, still can grow, of course, and the team they're putting together. I mean, Desmond Bane, oh my god, another sort of bright side of this team. Desmond Bane, he might be a player that might need to stick around for this team to be successful. So, man, this team is looking really solid. I'm very jealous of their rebuild because it's looking like it's going flawlessly, and it's super exciting. Another team here with the Miami Heat, and man, the bright side for this team, kind of also a tough one. They're sort of right where they need to be. So there's not really like a bright side. They're just doing what they're supposed to be doing. Maybe the bright side for this team is that they're maybe kind of flying under the radar a little bit. They're fourth right now in the NBA, and I haven't really heard a lot of commotion come out of them. They're 7-3 of their last 10. They're looking pretty solid. If anything, the bright side for this team is that they're not. I don't think they. When was the last time this team was fully healthy, playing together? I know Bam Adebayo is out. I know Duncan Robinson is out. I mean, Jimmy Butler has done an amazing job with his team, and I still think they're a sleeper in the East. I still think they're going to be very competitive in the East this year. I just don't really know a bright side for this team. I think it's just that they're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. This isn't a down year, an upper year, and even through all the highs and lows of, again, health and safety and injuries for sure for this team. It's been hit by it pretty bad. They've still looked pretty good, and even not the greatest depth. A lot of their guys have stepped up a lot, and it is really exciting. And I think for the playoffs, this team is definitely more of a playoff-built team than a regular season team. And they're fourth right now in the regular season, so that's pretty terrifying. For the Milwaukee Bucks, ooh, man, the bright side for this team, I don't know. I guess I could say a bright side for this team is that they're still as dominant as they need to be, and that's pretty surprising. Again, a lot of injuries to this team kind of early on as well, with Brook Lopez, Drew Holiday, even Chris Middleton missing some time. I think Giannis missed about 10 games-ish as well, and still being third in the Eastern Conference, only a handful of games away from being number one even. For this season being as bad as it has been for a lot of teams, luck-wise that is, they're still definitely a title favorite. Giannis is still an MVP candidate, and man, if you would have asked me at the start of this sort of, downfall of the Milwaukee Bucks, I would have said they probably would have been in a way worse spot right now than they actually are. So that's pretty good for them. It's kind of hard to think of a bright side for them. It actually hasn't been all that bad, so they're keeping afloat. And that's definitely a bright side. Next up, we have the Minnesota Timberwolves, and for them, I wanted to say finally the health is here, but that's definitely too early to say, because again, their health and safety has hit this team very hard. I think even Karl-Anthony Towns is out, which is kind of sad, but even with all this stuff going on, I still think this is the healthiest this team has ever been, ever. And right now they're ninth, and really in good contention for a playoff spot this year. Karl-Anthony Towns, and definitely Anthony Edwards is, maybe it's finally turned out to be, way more valuable than we all probably would have thought he would have been ever. And then D'Angelo Russell, definitely not doing the best, but the team is really clicking together. Definitely mostly behind the play of Karl-Anthony Towns, which is super exciting. But I think again, it's on the up and up. It's still kind of early for this team, and I think as long as they finish on a good note, even if they are a play-in team, as long as you make Karl-Anthony Towns happy and keep him as long as possible, that's the main goal and mission for this team. Bright side for the Pelicans, easy. There's no Zion. I think that's the easiest one in this entire list. Y'all ain't playing with Zion, so no expectations. Get your guys a lot of minutes, get your guys a lot of reps. Maybe Zion comes back next year, and a lot of the teammates are a lot better because they did get a lot more playing time, and boom, you guys are looking really good next season. This season, kind of a dumpy season. Just let it happen. Whatever happens, happens. Definitely, if they do have their draft pick this year, definitely make it a good one. You know what I mean? Hint, tank a little bit, and maybe throw out some feelers for Ingram and Vucevic. Valanciunas and Devontae Graham. I think this year is a throwaway season because again, Zion is just not probably going to play. Maybe for another month or two, this season. So, God, the Knicks, definitely kind of a downer year for the Knicks. 11th right now in the East. Definitely, obviously, the big hype of last year going into this year, kind of rough. And I called it at the start of the year. So people even got mad at me for saying the Knicks weren't going to be the same as they were last year. And ta-da! Very sadly, it was right, which sucks. But I think the bright side of them is that they're still the Knicks. They're still in New York. They still have a good core piece of guys together. They still are just looking for their savior, I guess you could say. So if that is Damian Lillard in some big time trade, or Ben Simmons, or they get a guy in free agency like, I don't know, Bradley Beal or whatever, it's very possible, and it's still more possible than it has ever been. So I think definitely, even though the season sucks, they will get better. They will get a free agent. This team is still very well put together. The hype is still kind of there, so I think some teams and players will look at that. I think they're still fine for the future. For this season, though, not a lot of bright sides, if I'm being honest, which kind of sucks. But hey, you're still the Knicks. You're still in New York. Oh, a bright side for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I would have to say, like, no expectations. I mean, even if this team somehow played extremely well at the end of the year and made the plans, that'd be cool. If this team sucked and started becoming, the 15th seed, the very last place in the West, it wouldn't really matter, as long as this team, again, just builds and builds and builds and builds and builds and builds with Shea. I think Shea is obviously the biggest upside for this team, and they just need to start plugging in pieces that will make not only him better, but the team as a whole better. For the Orlando Magic, kind of tough. The bright side for them, I still think, even though, again, 14th in the Eastern Conference, I don't even think they're double digits in wins yet this year, which definitely is kind of depressing. I think it's still super early in the rebuild. I mean, they just traded Vucevic last season, so it's not like they're, super new to this. But even with Vucevic, they didn't really get anywhere super crazy. They were just a subpar playoff team, you know what I mean? So, I think Jalen Suggs is the real deal. I think Cole Anthony is the real deal. I do think even when, Markelle Fultz and all these guys sort of start coming back, they're in a good spot. Even Wendell Carter Jr. is a good piece. So I think once the team is just playing together, they'll be fine. I mean, again, sort of like with the Houston Rockets, they have assets to trade for. They have draft picks that are going to be great for the next couple years. They just need they need a start. They need that Cleveland Cavaliers sort of spark that says, "Ooh, finally something is happening." And it hasn't happened yet, which it probably won't for the next couple years, but they have pieces. So the bright side for this team is that, you still need to find that piece, that guy, or that sort of spark that sort of helps ignite this team. And I guess you just gotta go out and find it, which it is, whether with a draft pick or with the assets that you have traded away. Kind of a decent bright side. Philadelphia 76ers, kind of an easy one. The bright side is y'all are 6th right now in the Eastern Conference without your second best player, and that's pretty crazy. Obviously, without having Ben Simmons probably for the entire year, and probably not getting anything out of him for the rest of the year. They're probably going to make maybe a trade offer in the off season, maybe. But man, if they go out this entire year without Ben Simmons and are still a 4, 5, 6 seed, that's honestly really impressive. Not only obviously Joel Embiid, what a god of a player, definitely an MVP candidate, but Tobias and obviously Tyrese Maxey, which him alone might be the biggest bright side of this team, because man, he is taking that starting point guard role very nice, very seriously, very fun to watch. But the bright side for this team, y'all are doing this without Ben Simmons, and imagine if you had a piece. Imagine if you had pieces back for Ben Simmons. This could be, a 2, 3, 1 seed, maybe title favorite, who knows? But I think I would rather find out sooner rather than later. You know what I mean? Make that trade, make the trade happen. I want to see Ben Simmons shipped off somewhere. For the Phoenix Suns, the bright side for this team is that they're still legit. Again, at the start of the year, kind of a slippery slope they were going on. Obviously, coming off of the NBA Finals, kind of rough. But man, they really picked it up, having one of the best winning streaks I've seen in quite some time, and they were looking really good. Out of the last 10, they're 7-3. Chris Paul looks good. Devin Booker was hurt, and they still were playing at a very high level, competing with teams like, of course, the Golden State Warriors, the Utah Jazz. They were competing against all the best teams, and it was really cool to see that. And I think, the biggest bright side of this team is that they're still here. They're still amazing. They're still going to be a contender. They're probably going to it's not big red button time just yet. Just yet, it's not. I think, in my opinion, the biggest thing that they should be doing right now is tanking, and that's coming from a Portland fan. I think we pull what the Golden State Warriors pulled and just pull everyone, pull CJ maybe for the entire year, or maybe until he gets traded. I don't know. Maybe even pull Dame for the entire year, give him that abdominal surgery that we really want him to get, and just tank the year, see what happens, see what we can rebuild in the offseason with free agencies and trading and assets that we have. And we have our draft pick this year. It is lottery protected, so if we make the lottery, we will get the pick. So I think if it's in Dame's blessing to tank the season, I would 1000% tank the season, get a high draft pick, maybe trade that draft pick away if it is a top 5 pick. That could be a good piece of a player, and then also trading away CJ McCollum, and then maybe you do a sign and trade with Yusuf Nurkic. You have some young guys off the bench that can also be traded away. Maybe there's pieces there that can be used, but will they? I don't know. But I think obviously the biggest prize is that Dame is he's still in it. Will he allow this team to tank a season away though? I don't know. Oh God, yeah. Okay. The Sacramento Kings, a bright side for them. Kind of tough because they are Sacramento. I would probably just have to say, I guess it's still early. It's still early-ish in their rebuild. I mean, not really. I mean, the De'Aaron Fox era is still early. And there is pieces there. I think just adding more to them is what really is important. I think, again, they do need another draft pick. They are pieces away. They do have a lot of good assets to trade away. If they do trade away, obviously Harrison Barnes, Rashard Holmes, Buddy Hield, really good pieces that they should be trading away, whether it is for draft assets or anything like that. But I mean, I guess they're putting out feelers for De'Aaron Fox, and that's definitely a good player to start with. Maybe starting completely new would be definitely trading away De'Aaron Fox, and maybe they do that. I don't know, but I guess not even an upside, a bright side is that they have a lot of options to do. Do they completely start over? Do they trade away their star guy you can get a lot for, or they have a lot of pieces too that they can trade away for assets too? So kind of a nice thing. I have no idea for the Sacramento Kings. It's been rough for many years for them. For the San Antonio Spurs, I would have to say the bright side for this team is that they're doing everything perfectly fine. They're bad. Thank God the Spurs are finally bad, and they have assets to trade away. They have draft picks that they're gonna have. When they do, obviously end the season on probably a not so great spot, it's gonna be good for them because they need to try to find a guy. They need to find that dude because, man, they do have a lot of core guys with them like DeJounte Murray, Kendall Johnson, right? Derek White, and yada 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 yada. This team is gonna be really good as long as they find that guy, and they obviously need to do it through the draft, and they need a good draft pick. They need to be bad. They're 11th right now in the West at 14-21. I think they're looking pretty good. They're competitive enough to be entertaining, but also bad enough to probably get a good draft pick, which is good. That's what they need. The Toronto Raptors, I think definitely for Toronto is that the pieces that they have are working. I still do think that they do need to make some trades, like whether it is with Siakam or Fred VanVleet or something like that. I think they do need to commit a little bit more to their rebuild. I think is what they really need to do, and Scotty Barnes is 1000% legit. In my opinion, he's probably going to win Rookie of the Year, and Gary Trent Jr. is playing well, and all their guys that are probably going to be a part of their rebuild the next handful of years are playing good. It's just, they're 10th in the East. They're not really bad enough to get a good draft pick. They're not good enough to make the playoffs. I don't want them to sit in this purgatory year of just not being in that one spot, for years to come. I think they need to commit to winning or commit to a tank. Well, not a tank, but commit to being, a good draft pick. The bright side for this team is that Scotty Barnes is legit. The rebuild looks like it can work. It's just they need to commit to that. Maybe Utah Jazz. The bright side for this team is that they're still the same old Utah Jazz team, which I don't know is a good thing or a bad thing, because in the regular season, it's a great team. They're a great team. They're always going to be a top 3 seed in the West, I feel like, and they look good. They're a good team to play in the regular season, but will that carry over to the playoffs? That's where the scary thing is, but I think as of right now, they're where they're supposed to be, and that's the bright side. They're still the same team. They still have that potential to be a great playoff team. They just need to show it in the playoffs, obviously, but still a good spot for them. We have the Washington Wizards, and for them, the bright side for this team is, of course, the trading away of Russell Westbrook. Everyone thought this would be the final shot in the Bradley Beal era of the Washington Wizards, and it looks like it's being completely fine. I do think that he will go out into free agency. They definitely have a better shot at keeping Bradley Beal than I would have thought, and that's definitely a bright side, is that they definitely have a chance to keep Bradley Beal, and the role players on this team are very solid. They obviously need to add upon that if Bradley Beal does leave. Hey, it's draft time, boys, and trying to find that next, John Wall, Bradley Beal type of guy for this team for years to come. Or if Bradley Beal does stay and the role players stay, and this team is a playoff team right now, they're 8th right now in the East. If they can grow more into that, maybe a guy from DC, some basketball player, I don't know who's from DC, but maybe will want to come home and play with them. I have no idea. There's a lot of things that they can do. They can even trade their role players away for assets that they can get draft picks for. I don't know. But I think definitely Bradley Beal, that's an upside for them, is that they're good enough still with Bradley Beal that maybe it's making him happy and maybe he'll stay. I don't know. It's a shot anyways. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I appreciate you a lot if you watched all of it. It really means a lot to me. Again, comment down below maybe a bright side for your own team. I tried to make this as vague as possible because I want your guys' opinion a lot more. So